I'm Kim Dewey. I'm here with Laura, who you love and adore, and so do I, talking about Kinesio Tape today. And Kinesio Tape is one of my favorite modalities for injury recovery and maintenance. And Laura had a little run-in with the earth recently, snowboarding, so she's here getting a little tape for an injury that she sustained. But she asked that I talk to you a little bit about Kinesio Tape, what it does, why it works. So it was designed in the 1970s by a chiropractor from Japan, and since then there are over 50 companies that make nice quality Kinesio Tape. I'm fond of RockTape. That is my personal go-to. I like their education. I love their tape. It comes in 2-inch and 4-inch strips, and you can cut it to the size of your person. Perfect. Thank you, Vanna. Okay, so there are also pre-cut tapes that you can get on the market that are nice to have in your at-home first aid kit or apothecary. So why does it work? It's basically a fabric tape, and it's designed to mimic the skin's elasticity. It's super stretchy. But when it goes on, there's a recoil effect, kind of a bounce back effect. And what that does is it actually pulls the superficial tissues away from the deeper underlying tissue. And that creates space, and space is always a good thing. So in an injury where you created space, you have far greater opportunity for blood flow, for lymphatic flow, and to reduce edema. And those are some of the three most important things in recovering from injury. It's also used to stabilize and support soft tissue and joints. We've used it to support the rib cage. Laura took a heck of a hit on her ribs, so we've used it both on back and front to provide some serious support there. Speeds healing of bruising, and this is something I've seen myself. You will often see the tape cut so that it fans out. That's designed to reduce edema and also bruising, and it's remarkable the speed of a bruise that's taped versus the recovery of the speed of a bruise, whether it's taped or not taped. You can also use it for performance to facilitate movement. You see that a lot in professional athletes. I use it probably most often to release trigger points and to stabilize an injured joint. Shoulders shoulders and hips, knees, and my runners and walkers, or people who travel to Europe with really crappy shoes and end up with plantar fasciitis all benefit from Kinesio Tape. And that's something we're going to show you before we go, how to tape a foot. It's also been used for scar management and for releasing trigger points. Okay, before I show you, and what I'd like to show you is actually not what we taped Laura, because that is sort of personal and private, but I'd like to show you the taping of the bottom of a foot. If you maintain integrity of your arch, your entire skeletal system has excellent support. It'll have far greater support. You'll get better use out of every joint in your body. So for people who've had running injuries or chronic injuries, a lot of times taping the bottom of the foot, maintaining support of the arch, and also just creating a conversation. One of the most important things that Kinesio Tape does, and this is something we're discovering later rather than sooner, is it creates a neurological conversation with the body. So oftentimes after a trauma or an injury, the body guards and it begins to protect you in whatever way it can. Well, long after the injury, the body may still be guarding you. By creating a conversation with all the tissue receptors on the surface of your skin, you begin to change that conversation. And as you change that conversation, often chronic tension is released. So the one that you will actually see demonstrated is the one for plantar fasciitis, or just to support your foot and your calf. And quite often, and this is a bit of a parlor trick, if you tape one foot and not the other, you'll find you'll be able to stand on the taped foot far longer without losing your balance. So if you want to become a blue heron, that's a good tip. Okay.
Or a flamingo.
Or a flamingo, yeah. Or a stork, maybe, I don't know. Okay, so contraindications. Never tape over an open wound. If you have an allergic reaction, if you're sensitive at all to Band-Aids, this is not the medium for you. Don't even try it. It would be agony for you, because the adhesive will create an allergic reaction if you are allergic to adhesive. Diabetic people have to be careful. Never tape with a deep vein thrombosis. But other than that, tape is usually pretty applicable to most of my clients. We use it a lot. And applications. Clean, dry skin. So Laura's clean and dry. That's a good thing. Also, if you're going to be taping over an area that has a lot of hair, it's sometimes nicer to trim the hair. It's ironically not that important for the tape to work, but when it comes to tape removal, you might be a whole lot happier if if you're someone who has a lot of hair on their back, you might want to trim it. Because taking the tape off, and the tape's good for 3 to 5 days. It's waterproof, you pat it dry, you re-rub it to activate the adhesive. It lasts for a long time. So if you are a hairy person, you may want to do a little bit of cleanup there. Most important thing of all that I want to say, and I hope I say it several times, is stretch the client. Don't stretch the tape. Most of the injuries that I see that happen with tape happen from tape that's been overstretched. I've done it myself plenty of times. Don't do it. The tape is already stretched on the backing. So when you pull it off the backing, there has been a stretch. And if you put it on that way, you should get sufficient stretch. If you overstretch, then you can create problems with the skin. You can create abrasions and allergic reactions that wouldn't have happened otherwise. The only time you can stretch tape, my way, is if you're taping over tape. Then you can, because you protected that skin with an underlying piece of tape, and then you can tape over it. Okay, and the tape's activated with friction. I think we're ready to try your foot. What do you think? Okay.
Yeah, let's
okay.
do it. Fortunately, I don't have plantar fasciitis, but now I'm looking forward to standing on one foot extensively, because I'm just going to tape one foot and test out
Test out our parlor trick.
Kim's parlor trick. Yes.
All right, let's make room for Laura to lie down first.
Okay.
So I've already taken the liberty of measuring Laura's foot. So you have a pretty good idea of what her foot looks like. You never want to tape under the toes. Don't come up that far. That's a bad idea. And you want to get right down to the base of the calcaneus. So I'm going to just have a little seat on the floor here. And I'm asking Laura, let your foot relax. I'm asking her to put it in dorsiflexion. I'm going to tape the plantar side, but she's going to do dorsiflexion, which she's doing beautifully, which if you don't know what that means, it means point your toes towards your nose. And that is, as much as she can do, is going to help us a lot, because this is stretch the client, not the tape. Okay, here goes. You good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, so the tape comes off the backing. Yeah, right about there. Okay, can you see me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then I'm very carefully just putting the tape right up on the sole of her foot, just under her toes. Not on her toes, just under her toes. Okay, and then I'm going to give it a really good rub. Okay, all right, good. And relax that foot, okay? And then just to support it a little further, I'm going to put another piece of tape right here at the center of the arch. So, and the way you do that, if you want to support, she still needs to be in dorsiflexion, although you can rest if you need to. Okay, I break the tape in the middle, okay? Now, the part of the, you try not to
raise your hands up just a little bit.
Okay, I'm breaking the tape in the middle. I'm trying not to touch the tape. You try not to touch the tape if at all possible. This part that's gonna go over the tape, I can actually stretch that. So I'm going to place it here, and then I'm going to put a little stretch, but the minute I come to her skin, I have to release the stretch. And then I'm going to run it right up her foot. Same thing over here. I can give it a pretty good stretch, and then the minute I hit tissue, no stretch. Okay. How's that feel, sweetie?
That feels awesome.
Okay. Okay. All right. And then the last thing I'm going to do will be to support the calf. And for that, Laura's going to roll onto her tummy. And her foot's going to hang off the table right about where it is. Beautiful girl. Okay, that's nice. Okay, right about where it is, because I need her to dorsiflex here too. So you might even want to come a little further down if you want, just so your foot's a little hanging off better. Perfect. Okay, because I'm going to ask her to really dorsiflex on this. Ooh, you know what? You're right. You need to go forward so they can see. Okay, we're good? Okay, all right. That ought to be perfect. Okay, so I start. This is a nice support also for the Achilles tendon. It's a really nice support for the Achilles tendon. The tape can be a little bit of a stinker to get going, and you want to be careful to touch as little of it as possible. So sometimes that's a bit tricky. Be patient. You'll get it. Okay, so I'm going to start right above the Achilles tendon, or right about here, above her ankle bone. Okay, so right above her lateral malleolus. And now, are you in deep dorsiflexion, the best you got?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then I'm going to bring it right up her calf, just like that. You don't want to go too close to behind the knee. You want to stay below the knee, maybe an inch or two. Okay, alrighty. All right, so there she goes. Let's see what she thinks. Okay, sweetie, see what you think.
Okay. I'm just gonna stand on one foot all day, I think.
Do you notice the difference between the two?
Yeah, actually there is a big difference
There's a big-
between the two.
Okay.
This just feels lots looser, and this still has sensation of tightness, and I don't even think that I have much of a plantar fasciitis issue.
Well, and it's not just for plantar fasciitis. It's great for running. I mean, I have people that tape before they run,
Yeah.
so that they don't injure themselves, especially if they're going to be doing a really aggressive run or uphills.
Yeah.
So it's a nice way to support your body
That's fantastic.
when it's not hurt, in addition to when it is hurt.
Super awesome. Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Kim. This is Laura Coleman Waite with Just Muscles. Here's to Balance, Strength, and Happiness. Here's your tutorial on Kinesio Tape using RockTape in particular, and we'll see you next time.